It's time for the big Full 10 Yards Network Power Ranking, where a collection of our contributors, podcasters, podcast guests have all combined to produce a big Full 10 Yards Network Power Ranking, which we'll be revealing on the show today.
And the other one that sticks out to me, Sam, what happened? You were so high on the Cardinals. I tried to tell you, they let you down.
Yeah, well, look, I think when we said this is a big year for Kyler Murray. You know, this is if he does, and he's not the guy. That's what we can take away from the way that they've looked with Jacoby Brissett the last couple of weeks. Kyler Murray, I don't think has much of a future in Arizona.
How? At the start of the season, we were talking about like Anthony Richardson being the worst quarterback in the league, and then getting number 1 overall pick and drafting Arch Manning. Like, how much has changed in 8 weeks?
This is the story of the season by far. It was a fairy tale the first couple of weeks. This is a reality now. It really is, because this is a very good football team. Dominant a lot of scrimmage, especially on offense. And they've lost so many starters at offensive line as well, and it's still so good.
Your Dolphins, Sam, unfortunately, not much better. Yeah. Change has to be coming, you would think, soon, because it can't go on like. In the words of Mick McCarthy, it can't go on like this, can it? It can.
It can. I can say that. No, it can.
Hello, everyone. Cecil Martin here.
Hey, this is Hunter Henry.
What's up, man? This is Max Crosby, part of Raider Nation.
Hey, this is Ross Tucker, former NFL offensive lineman.
Hey, it's Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks.
Hey, this is Jerry Judy, wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, and you're listening to the 14-Yard NFL Podcast.
It is week 8 of the NFL season, listeners. How crazy is that? The 2025 London games are over. There are 6 teams in a bye this week as well, which means we're really getting to the nitty gritty of the season now. We're nearly midway through the 2025 NFL season. I'm Sam Moores, and you're listening to the Full 10 Yards NFL podcast. And as it's become a sort of yearly tradition now in week 8 of the season, it's time for the big Full 10 Yards Network Power Ranking, where a collection of our contributors, podcasters, podcast guests have all combined to produce a big Full 10 Yards Network Power Ranking, which we'll be revealing on the show today. Charlie Wilson is one of those contributors to the Power Ranking. It's his first time doing this. He's a US sports writer for several newspapers in the UK. He also coaches the game over here as well. And he joins me now to reveal our Power Ranking from 32nd to 1st. Welcome back on the pod, mate. How did you find it this week, putting together your ranking?
I changed my mind multiple times. I was like, wow, do I really think this team is this good? And then I look at other teams, I'm like, well, yeah, I do. I was surprised doing it. And I'm also looking forward to seeing what you put down and what we've all got down as a collective. So I look forward to it.
Yeah, it always is really fun seeing the different opinions, because there are some very different opinions, especially the top 10. The top 10's in some all kinds of crazy order. There's multiple different combinations in the top 10, especially the top 5 as well. So that's certainly crazy. Alongside revealing that combined power ranking, we'll also finish the podcast by predicting all the 13 games of week 8 against the spread as well. And then later on, I'll also give my 5 must players you have to have in your lineup for Fantasy Gameday's week 8 Sunday Stars competition as well. Reminder, if you're new to the app, you can actually get a free £7.50 bet when you sign up with code FULL10. There are 7 competitions on the app this week, I believe. New users will get £7.50 in free bets put into their account after they deposit and enter their first lineup on the app after signing up with that code FULL10. That's FULL10. So just remember to please gamble responsibly, and only if you're 18 or over and based in the UK and Northern Ireland. Right, we will crack on with the podcast now. Start revealing our mid-season power ranking, which is our second power ranking of the 2025 season. As with our pre-season power ranking, I'll be revealing the list in 6 sections, cutting from 32 down to 1. What we'll say before I start this is miles closer at the top than it was this time last year, than it was at the end of last year, and especially at the start of this year as well. It's a very, very close league at the top, which is crazy. I think we've got 4 different teams ranked number 1, various different top 10 combinations as well. And then, yeah, a big thank you to everyone who did take part and found some time to contribute to the ranking as well. We really do appreciate it. Okay, let's start with it. Let's start with the first 6 teams who are truly the basement of the NFL. These 6 teams these 6 teams are.
Look at that.
Look at that. Yeah, these 6 teams are the Jets in 32nd, the Dolphins in 31st, the Tennessee Titans in 30th, the New Orleans Saints in 29th, the Las Vegas Raiders in 28th, and the Cleveland Browns in 27th. Now, all these teams are actually included in your bottom 6, Charlie, and it's hardly a surprise why, because these 6 teams have a combined 7 wins, right? It's not
bad.
crazy.
I can just say, Sam, I'm proud of the full 10 yards collective that we've all agreed that the New York Jets are the worst team in the league, because they are. They're really depressing. At work, we're a New York-based team, so we cover the Jets a lot, and it's painful. Like, they are a mess, and I'm glad we're all in agreement that they are the biggest mess out of them all.
It's close though. I'd tell you what, the Dolphins and the Titans got some last place votes as well, so it is close. But yeah, the Jets had the most last place votes. 4 of these teams were in the bottom 6 to start the season, so we sort of got them right to start the season. The Dolphins and the Raiders are the 2 teams that weren't in this bottom 6 to start the season. Miami are down 8 spots, 23rd, I think. Yeah, 23rd in preseason. The Raiders are down 3, so they were 25th, so just outside the bottom 6 here. Would you say those 2 teams, the Dolphins and the Raiders, are 2 of the most disappointing teams this year?
They have to be, right. The Raiders were a very sort of trendy team this off-season. For whatever reason, some of you might know I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan. It was bizarre to see the way Geno Smith, how much he was loved this off-season. People were talking about him as a top 10 quarterback. It's just never, ever been the case, Sam. Like, he was really good at Seattle. He was really good. In fact, he was good. He wasn't really good. To say that he's better than the likes of even Baker Mayfield, right? It's not close. And I think that's really shown this season how flawed, unfortunately, Geno Smith is. He's in a tough place with the Raiders, right? Bad offensive line, bad receivers. Brock Bowers has been out. But there was so much hype around the Raiders. Pete Carroll coming in, Max Crosby saying, "Oh, this is the best team we've ever had." He feels good about the season. He feels good about the direction. And wow, they look like they might be the worst team in the league as well. Like they like they're not going to win a game anytime soon. It's very depressing being a Las Vegas Raiders fan right now. And your Dolphins, Sam, unfortunately, not much better. Change has to be coming, you would think, soon, because it can't go on like, in the words of Mick McCarthy, it can't go on like this, can it? It can.
It can. I can say that. No, it can. Obviously the Dolphins have probably the worst defense in the NFL, and that even worse than the Cowboys, maybe, in my opinion. The offensive line is terrible too. Tua has no confidence, and when Tua has no confidence, he becomes panicky Tua, and we've not seen that for a while. But when he does turn the ball over, it comes in bunches, and we're starting to see that now as well. He's normally very careful with the football, but when he does turn the ball over, yeah, it happens a lot, and we're seeing that right now.
Just quickly with Tennessee. Go on, sorry. With the defense, Sam, why has it gone so badly? Like, I look at the linebackers, Jordan Brooks and Terrell Dodson, who are good players. I look at your defensive line. You've not got many weaknesses there. What's gone so wrong for I understand the offense, right? Tyreek Hill's injured, Tua's not playing, but why is the defense struggling? Do you think?
The secondary is terrible. That's the secondary is terrible. Excluding Minkah Fitzpatrick, he's made some plays, but everyone around him is terrible. A lot of those guys coming into the year wouldn't start. Rasul Douglas has been a nice addition, but Jack Jones is boom and bust, and you've had, I think four different players have started in the slot, so it's just been a nightmare there. And then Zach Sealer's not playing to the same level he has the last couple of years as well. That's the other thing. Zach Sealer has really not had a good season. And then Kenneth Grant next to him, who's been started to start the season, obviously first round pick's been terrible as well. So they're just getting run over. So that's why the Dolphins are terrible. I think quite a few of these teams are just really poorly coached, really undisciplined. Tennessee, one of them. That's part of the reason why Brian Callahan's gone. The Raiders, we mentioned it as well, just really poorly coached, really undisciplined. The Saints and Browns have been better than we thought. Those 2 teams have gone up. They were 32nd and 31st in preseason. They're now 29th to 27th. New Orleans, I think Kellen Moore's done a great job with Spencer Rattler. I think you wouldn't know Spencer Rattler was even in the QB competition coming into this year. I think he's played pretty decent. I know you're a big fan of him. And then the Browns' defense is really good as well. It's fifth in defensive EPA play. That Browns defense has won them 2 games. So I actually had Cleveland outside of this bottom 6, but a lot of people had them inside. So I think the Saints and the Browns have their sort of highlights when all the other teams are just terribly coached and these teams are terrible, aren't they? Really,
they really are. The Browns, I agree with you. The Browns, they're feisty. They can give people a game because of the defense. I think they have good players all over the defense, and obviously you've got arguably the best player in the league in Myles Garrett, who is just otherworldly. I've never seen an athlete move like that guy. It's crazy. And Spencer Rattler, man, every week he keeps making plays. I worry about the long term with Spencer Rattler because he's not in a good situation and he's starting to have some bad tendencies. And you just know, obviously, the Saints are racking up losses now. They spent a second round pick on Tyler Shough. Are they going to think, okay, we need to see what the Tyler Shough's got? And then if they do that, a good Spencer Rattler might become available next offseason. There's a lot of teams who need a quarterback. I'll just tell you now, Sam, I'm a draft nerd. Next year's draft is not good for quarterbacks at all. So that's something to watch there with Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I think it was a no-brainer to start him because even if the Saints do fall in a good position to select a quarterback, they can get a pick back for someone with Spencer Rattler, as you said. So I think, it's it was a no-brainer going into the season. Right, let's go on to the next section now. This consists of 6 teams. They're all frisky. Some have had injury problems. Some are fundamentally flawed, but can win games on a day. These 6 teams are the Cardinals in 26th, the Giants in 25th, then the Texans, then the Bengals, then the Ravens, and then the Panthers. Recent form has moved the Giants and Panthers into this tier. I'd say they've picked up a couple of wins recently. The Cardinals and Texans have disappointed, and the Ravens and Bengals have just been really hurt by injuries. How would you break down this tier of 6 teams?
Yeah, it's really interesting with the Ravens and the Bengals, right? Because if they get their quarterbacks back, they're immediately top 10 teams, just like that. And Joe Flacco might be a big boost. Maybe looked like it last week. So I found those 2 teams really hard to rank. I agree with where they are, but there should be an asterisk next to it, right? Because we know why they are there. At the same time, though, Baltimore's defense is not good. It is a big problem. And so I think that's going to hold them back. They can still make the playoffs. They're 1-5, but Lamar Jackson's coming back. They can make the playoffs, but they're not going to do anything this season with that defense. It's bad. And the other one that sticks out to me, Sam, what happened? You were so high on the Cardinals. I tried to tell you. They let you down.
Yeah, well, look, I think when we said this is a big year for Kyler Murray. This is his. And he's not the guy. That's what we can take away from the way that they've looked with Jacoby Brissett the last couple of weeks. Kyler Murray, I don't think has much of a feature in Arizona. I think 3 people put them in their bottom 6, including myself. So I so they only just escaped that. I think they're poorly coached. Jonathan Gannon, he's really lost the locker room. And then, again, they've also got that problem at quarterback, and the defense hasn't really lived up to the hype either. Calais Campbell's made some plays. I'll give him that. And so it's just. Yeah, I know. His age is crazy, isn't it? Going to the Ravens. This week for them is huge. Coming out the bye, this may be the highest a 1-win team has ever been in a Week 8 power ranking. You could say, but obviously we all know what they can be. Some have them as high as 9 of the people that went. Some of them at 12. 3 people have them at 25. And Andy Davis has them at 27. So they are, again. You mentioned there it's a real mix as to where to put the Ravens. I still think they can turn it around. I do. The defense is getting healthy now, which is a key thing. They're getting a lot of starters back on that defense now. Also, the Alohi Gilman trade is an interesting one because it allows them to move Kyle Hamilton, which is where he's at his best when he's being moved around. And in the last game against the Rams, that worked. The defense played a lot better against the Rams than it has done the rest of the season. So maybe they can start to get going. They're also talking about making a move as well on defense. So maybe getting another safety there again, so you can just free freak Al Hamilton because the CJ Gardner-Johnson move did not work out. But, again, if I wouldn't be surprised to see them make a trade if they win on Sunday because they're 2-5. They're only a couple of games behind the Bengals then, and then they can really start to go. They also need to give Derek Henry the ball. That's the other thing, because I get it. He's had those fumbles. So has Ramondre Stevenson. If the Patriots didn't stop giving Ramondre Stevenson the ball, they wouldn't have 5 wins now. That's what you can say. It's like, yes, he's been fumbling, but he is probably your best player on offense when Lamar Jackson's not there. And then the offensive line's been terrible for them as well. I think those are more concerned to me than the defense. I think the defense will figure itself out. Again, it's the scheme that everyone wants to play on defense. So yeah, they're fascinating. That they really are. And then look, props to the Panthers. They're up 8 spots from where they were in pre-season. Like, their defense is much improved from last year. Like, obviously, it's one of the worst in the NFL history, but like in recent weeks, the Gio Evero's defense has really started to play really well. And they've got a great run game too, which is helping out Bryce Young. And I just wish they could start games well, because Bryce Young in the second half of games, there aren't many quarterbacks better than him when he's trailing. Which is a strange thing, because obviously they will win games doing that. Obviously they're on this massive win streak now, above 500, which is crazy. A couple of weeks ago we were talking about Dave Canales being fired. Any other teams we've not talked about? The Bengals, the Texans, the Giants. Anything you want to say about these teams?
Yeah, the Texans, obviously, watched the game on Monday night. They are just a total mess on offense. They are really poorly coached. Seattle were just throwing the same blitzes at Houston on Monday, and they just did not know how to deal with it. And CJ Stroud also had no idea how to deal with it. At one point, there was such a blatant B-gap blitz that it was a safety, came all the way down, staring at CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud looks right at him and just takes the sack. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you can see the sack, the blitz coming. You've got a quick out. Like, he just looks a bit broken, CJ Stroud. I mean, the way Houston have handled their offensive line, trading away Larry Tunsil, like, what are you doing? That's not what you do right now. You have
this team should be good.
Yeah, they should be good.
With that defense, again, number 1 in EPA.
Unbelievable.
I would say, I was like, I'm really high on the Texans going into the season because this defense is so good. I'm right, and they're still 24th in the power rankings because of that offensive line. It's crazy.
But defense is genuinely top 3. Derek Stingley is so. I mean, JSN destroyed him, but Derek Stingley is so good. Will Anderson Jr. is unbelievable. Danielle Hunter. Their defense is crazy, and the quarterback is CJ Stroud, and they're terrible. How are you doing this? It's a coaching issue, and it's a general manager issue. But the way they've handled their team since Stroud's rookie year is it is how not to run a franchise. It's crazy.
Yeah, and then they seem obviously the Giants. The Giants have gone. Some people are really hard on the Giants. Obviously, you've got the Dart and Scatterby effect that's happened in recent weeks. I think people have got them as high as 18, and as low as 27. So again, they're a bit iffy. But I'm disappointed by the Giants' defense, because obviously on paper it should be really good. It's not been really good. But they find a spark on offense, and they actually look well coached as well. Which is really good for Brian Daboll there. So we'll see what happens there. But right direction. And then the Bengals. I do wonder where they'd be if Burrow wasn't injured. The defense still isn't great, so that's the thing there. But again, they can win games because of the weapons on offense they have. So they're always going to be frisky, and if they can stay around 500 and wait for Burrow to come back the final 3 weeks of the season, maybe if that's positive. But if that could happen, then maybe they could sneak in. But these teams, again, like I said, they're frisky, but all of them have got fundamental flaws. To be honest with you, that's the way it is. Right, let's go into the top 20 now and look at the next 5 teams who are thereabouts around 500. Those teams are the Commanders in 20th, the Vikings in 19th, the Jags come in 18th, the Falcons are in 17th, and the Cowboys are in 16th. We'll start with Washington, Minnesota, because both of these teams were in our top 10 in pre-season. They were 8th and 9th in our combined top 10. Obviously, they've both had injuries to their starting quarterbacks. That's part of the reason why they are this down low. In fact, Jaden Daniels got injured again on Sunday. and is missing this week. But these, I don't know about you, but I think these two teams have underwhelmed besides the quarterback position this year.
Yeah, Washington have been a real letdown. They look all over the place defensively. Teams, Bobby Wagner is my favorite player of all time, and it's watching him is really depressing, right? Like 40-year-old Bobby Wagner trying to chase running backs on wheel routes. It's just not good. Like, and it's every week. It's been. We're seeing it, so it's not good. Washington have a lot of issues on both ends of the ball. Jaden Daniels being out is huge, and even he's not looked the same quarterback since his rookie years. He's definitely not taken a step, which we are expected to, right? So I think they have the potential to rise and rise quickly, but we're just not seeing that. We're not really seeing signs that they can do that. The Dallas Cowboys destroyed them. So we need to see a lot more from them if we're going to put them in playoff contention. And Minnesota, man, what a fumble it looks like that they've had at the quarterback position. I mean, I know JJ McCarthy's injured, but is he? Because apparently he's practicing, and apparently Carson Wentz has looked better than him, and Carson Wentz hasn't looked that good in games. And they have two of the former quarterbacks on the roster last year who are both in the MVP conversation. The way they've handled the quarterback position is, it was a choice, wasn't it? I wonder if I would go about it the same way now.
Here's a question for you. If these 5 teams, obviously they're all on the fringes of the playoffs, which one of these 5 teams do you think will have the best season?
I actually think Dallas. I think Dak Prescott has been really good. CeeDee Lamb's coming back. George Pickens has become a player which we all thought he would be from Georgia. Like, he looks great. They're getting some defensive guys back. They're feisty on defense. They can be terrible on defense, but they don't give up and they play for the coach. I like the way Dallas plays. I think the way I'm answering this is, which team do I like the best to watch? And I hate the Cowboys as a franchise, but Dallas are fun, right? Atlanta are really inconsistent, and Jacksonville just let you down. Like, that Rams game was so bad. Against Seattle as well, they made a lot of mistakes. So I lean towards Dallas.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it'll be. I think I'm gonna go for Atlanta. But I do think it's close to them and Dallas. I think those are 2 for me. I'm really impressed by Atlanta. Their defense has been the story for me. Like, this defense has been really good. I think the offense has played well, especially the offensive line. Like, that offensive line's had a couple injuries. They've lost players for the season and stuff like that, and you wouldn't know it. They're still, the offensive line's playing really well. And obviously, I think they've got one of the best sets of weapons in the league, and in their own building, they're really hard to beat as well. Like, away from home, I think they can be beaten, but in Atlanta, there's something about that stadium that they always win there, always. So I feel like, if that might make them, maybe push them to 9-10 wins, but I don't think they're going to go any further in the playoffs or anything. Dallas can win a shootout, and that's why I agree with you there. Dallas can absolutely win a shootout, because their offense is so good, and it's crazy because they've gone up 2 spots from preseason despite trading Micah Parsons since. That is crazy, isn't it? That is absolutely crazy. And the defense, is as bad as we thought it would be, but that offense is just something special, which is lovely. And Minnesota is, like, I want to say Minnesota for that question, but again, like I said, the quarterback situation just really puts me off. It does, and also Brian Flores' defense as well. It's not been the same. Now, they have been missing Andrew Van Ginkel for a lot of the year, which is might be part of that. It's performing well. Like, if you look at the numbers, if you look at EPA, they are in the top 10. It's performing well in terms of numbers, but when you actually, it's not the numbers that make this defense good. It's the aggressiveness, and they've not been aggressive on defense, and that's the difference this year. That really is because they've always, like, Brian Flores has always been able to force turnovers. It's not like last year. It's not like the last 2 years was a fluke. It was the same in Miami. It was the same in New England. This defense has always been consistently able to confuse the hell out of quarterbacks and produce turnovers. But it's not been there. Also, that Bengals game when they had 5, they've had 2 all year. So that is sacks have been there. The pressure's been there. But with how bad this offense is, the Minnesota need more from their defense, I think. So that's why I'm not going to put them there. But and then the Jags, as you said, like they're pretty much what they thought they'd be. They were 18th in preseason. They're 18th now. So up and down team around 500. That's what they are. The defense and the run game for them have been nice surprises, you could say. Pass game, major disappointment. Like, Trevor Lawrence on Sunday was terrible, terrible. And I said it for a few weeks now. I think he is a concern on because he's got an offensive line there. Like, this is the best the Jags offensive line has looked for ages, besides the Seattle game where they went all over them. But besides that, the Jags offensive line is the best for ages. He's got a clean pocket for the most of the time, Trevor Lawrence, and he's still sailing throws, and that's a real concern for me there. And again, the receiving, Travis Hunter had a nice game on Sunday, and then Brian Thomas has not been himself either, so that is a concern for me. So I wouldn't even consider the Jags there if I'm being honest. Right, let's go into the top half of the league now. 5 more teams. At least these teams are either in the playoffs right now, if the season would start today, or at least 2 games above 500. So this is the top half of the league. You've got the Steelers here in 15th. The Bears in 14th, the Chargers in 13th, the Patriots in 12th, and the Broncos in 11th. And we'll start with the Bears here because they are the only NFC team in this tier. The rest of them are all sort of there in the AFC playoffs. And yeah, Chicago though, beginning the year 0-2, they've won 4 straight to move to 4-2. It's interesting because you were actually the lowest of everyone. You were the lowest on the Bears. You had them at 18. I take it you're not as sold on them as some.
No, I don't think Caleb Williams is playing very well at all. I think they're winning in spite of him, which is surprising, right? Because, number 1 overall pick, generational prospects, and he's just he's so desperate to play outside of rhythm. And Ben Johnson's offense it needs to be in rhythm. It's detailed to the to the step. And Caleb Williams, he just likes to freelancer. It's just not working. You see his last performance, just really, really poor. They have playmakers and they have good players on both sides of the ball. Kevin Byard is still doing it at a high level. But no, I know they've won 4 games in a row, but is it not the most least impressive 4-game winning streak of all time? Like, they've not looked convincing at all, in my opinion. No, I'm not a believer in Chicago at all. I think Caleb needs to take a really big step before I consider them a legitimate playoff team.
Yeah, he's had some growth, but I agree with you. I like him. I don't think they're a playoff team. That's why I agree with you there. But there are so many good teams in the NFC that they can be 14th, and that's the way it is now. The NFC is a lot stronger than the AFC right now. I was a bit concerned about their defense early on, but the last couple of weeks, Dennis Adams has really turned that around. Yeah, they've been top 10 scoring defense and total defense the last 3 weeks, so they've been really good. And then Ben Johnson, you've seen some of the same stuff as you saw in Detroit as well. The run game's really come on recently as well, and Caleb off script, like when the offense is broken down, as you're saying, has been really good. But then again, is he the right quarterback to in rhythm? That's the thing. But he has shown growth, I think. So yeah, interesting team to watch the rest of this year. And then the 4 AFC teams, they're all in the playoffs as it stands today. You've got the Steelers ranked the highest of all these teams, while the consensus has them as the lowest. So I'm curious about your feelings there.
Aaron Rodgers looks good. Aaron Rodgers looks good. It's crazy because the defense looks terrible. And it was coming to season, Pittsburgh defense has always been really, really good. It's just the play, like Patrick Queen's having a poor year. Peyton Wilson not look the same. TJ Watt started to slow down. They've just not looked the same on defense, but on offense, I mean, fair play. Aaron Rodgers is doing a really, really nice job to the point that we're talking about bringing him back for 2026. Apparently, DK Metcalf, he's sort of like he's basically becoming a really, really elite red zone wide receiver. He's not giving them too much. He might have 2 catches a game, but that can be 80 yards because of the playmaking ability that he has. I think they still need another wide receiver to go with DK and potentially something else on defense. But I think I just trust Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, their culture, over the other 4 teams I'm seeing in this list, especially the team ranked at the top there. I have zero faith in them whatsoever.
Really? In Denver? That's interesting.
Their offense is a mess.
Well, that's the thing. I think Sean Payton is getting a lot of criticism I think, which I've never really seen Sean Payton's play calling get this much criticism ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the thing. Because Bo Nix, if you look at numbers, he's in terms of like air yards per attempt and everything, he's like right at the bottom in the league, right? But then when they actually let him sling it in the fourth quarter, he's playing really well. It's like Sean Payton's probably being too protective over him, which is interesting there, because when he has let him free, the Broncos have looked really good on offense. It's just it takes until the fourth quarter in these games. And multiple of these wins have been Bo Nix led fourth quarter comebacks.
What I don't get about the offense is that they just have zero trust in their offensive line from the start. Every single play is a roll. It's a rollout, and it's like, just stay in the pocket. Like, let your receivers get open. Like, every single play is this misdirection and a rollout right and rollout left, and it's just it looks like they have zero trust in their offensive line, and the training wheel's still on Bo Nix. But as you say, Sam, in the fourth quarter, where we're like, okay, Bo Nix, we need you to do something. He does it. So why not just go with that approach from the first quarter? It does feel like Sean Payton doesn't have the trust in Bo Nix, but we as fans and believe at the quarterback he can be, which is strange because his rookie year was great.
And also he came out swinging for Russell Wilson this week as well. I don't know if you saw that, but
yeah, I hated. But I don't know. He's very petty for a 63-year-old man. Like, I didn't get that. Like, he's kicking a guy when he's down. But I love Russell Wilson, as you can see in the picture behind me. So
yeah. And then look, the Chargers and the Patriots are again two really interesting teams. Like the Chargers, I love their defense. It's so sad seeing the injuries they have on offense, because I think if they had one of those tackles, really, like obviously Joe Alt's coming back and it might play tonight, but I just feel like they could be, if they didn't have this horrific injury, like they could be Super Bowl contenders.
Totally.
With all these injuries, the run, especially to the running backs and everything as well, I'm not sure anymore, which is why I've got them a little bit lower. But it's a shame they've had some really tough injuries at key positions. And then New England, like Drake May's been really impressive. Like the offensive line as well for New England, I was not expecting that. On paper, it looked horrendous. They drafted a tackle with small arms. Will Campbell's playing really well. Their defense is solid as always. I think this is a good team. I think this team could surprise. Like 3 people have the Patriots in the top 10, which they're up 10 spots in preseason, so they've been a nice surprise, haven't they?
They have. I do think they've got a very easy schedule, and that's going to help, right? But yeah, Mike Vrabel's just a fantastic head coach, and he's done a really good job. And like you say, the biggest thing, Sam's Drake May. I mean, this guy looks like he's taken a huge step to the point where all of his issues in his rookie year, but I was seeing the way he glides in the pocket and telegraphs where he's throwing, just non-existent anymore. And he just looks so much more confident. And if he keeps taking these incremental steps, he's going to be an MVP candidate for a very long time.
Interesting. Right, let's go to the top 10 now. I agree with you with Drake May as well. I think he's brilliant. Inside the top 10, we'll go from 10 to 6. We have the Niners in 10th, the Seahawks in 9th, the Bills in 8th, the Bucks in 7th, and the Packers in 6th. We'll start the Niners. We'll go in order there. I think. I don't know about you, but I think if the Niners were healthy, they would probably be a lot higher up in this list, because they've been so impressive with all those injuries. Fred Warner and Nick Bosa on defense. Their defense is still playing really well. So shout out to Robert Saleh, because it's crazy how well that defense played without those two guys. Just like, what? And then the offense, Matt Jones has come in and had a decent, done a decent job. Christian McCaffrey looked healthy. He had a really good game on Sunday night. 5 people had the Niners in the top 10 despite all of the injuries they've had, and I think fair play to them. And also the good thing for them is a lot of those injuries aren't season ending. Obviously the ones on defense are, and that is a concern, but on offense they're going to get all these guys back. So your Niners could go on a really deep run, couldn't they?
They really could. Yeah, I think they can go on a really, really good run in the regular season. I really worry about them in the playoffs because of no Nick Bosa, no Fred Warner. And the biggest thing is they're really poor running the football. They're the worst ranked rush offense in the league with Christian McCaffrey. They have big issues on their offensive line. I think that's going to really hold them back, especially when elite teams are going to play against that defense without Fred Warner, who for my money is the greatest linebacker I've ever seen. He's unbelievable. Like that guy, it's a shame because that injury looks like a bad one. I think that really hurts them. But I have to say as well, Kyle Shanahan is my coach of the year so far. What he's done with Mac Jones has been unbelievable. They've not missed a beat. Robert Saleh has been just as good. Like you said, Sam, the defense has looked exactly the same without Nick Bosa, and that's a crazy, crazy accomplishment.
Going on to Seattle now. I mean, personally, I'm surprised they are this low because I think statistically they are like really good both offensively, defensively. I had them at 5th. I was actually the highest of everyone on Seattle, which is which surprised me. Actually, I thought people would have them a bit higher. Big rises. Seattle were 20th in the preseason rankings. They're up 11 spots. But obviously, you kind of called this in our NFC West preview, which fair props to you.
Yeah, cheers. I came into the year. I mean, I'm a Seahawks fan, right? But I'm really not a homer. Like, I'm not like my team's going to win because I support them. That's not like. I just really liked the roster. I think they are strong at each and every position, and that they're devoid of superstars, but they have stars everywhere, and they have a very elite defensive mind at head coach who is just doing an incredible job of out scheming everyone that it's coming up against, apart from Tampa Bay, because that was terrible. I think Seattle does have issues. The offensive line is still an issue. They can't run the ball, and they're not helping Sam Darnold in that aspect because, every play is a play action pass. It's coming off because Darnold's been great, but they are flawed, Seattle. But I think if they sort out, if their offensive line just gets 5% better, then they really could be a Super Bowl team, and I did not expect to say that at all. DeMarcus Lawrence has been unbelievable. Byron Murphy is, if he had 2 more sacks, we're talking about Defensive Player of the Year, he's been dominant. I can't believe the step that he's taken this year. Well, you called it in our first podcast. This guy looks like a mini Aaron Donald, and now he's starting to actually look like that, which is really exciting. Next to Leonard Williams and Jaron Reed, the defensive line is very good. The offensive line is killing them a little bit.
Now, fair play to Sam Darnold, he has played so under pressure, which was his Achilles heel before. That's the growth there is really impressive. But I do agree with you about the offensive line. The Bills, very interesting team to rank. Obviously, we haven't seen them in a few weeks because of that bye as well. But they lost 2 games going into the bye. Some people have them as low as 12th. You have them at 3rd. So and the Bucks as well. The Bucks, pair both of them here. Like the Bucks, like Buffalo, are really hard because they've been so good despite the injuries, but they're not what the Bucks are going to look at the end of the year. How do you assess these two teams, the Bills and the Bucks?
I mean, if I had to rank it on how well the teams have performed so far, I wouldn't have put them 3rd. I put them 3rd because of what they can be, and what they can be is the best team in the league, actually. There are a lot of injuries, so big injuries to the linebacker Tyrell Bernard and Maxwell Hairston. We've got a lot of guys back, even a lot of depth guys, which we're really missing. The issue with Buffalo is they still don't have a number 1 wide receiver, and they really need one because teams are now starting to double cover Dalton Kincaid, and Keon Coleman just isn't doing it. And Khalil Shakir is a good number 2. I think they are 1 wide receiver away. I'm sure they'll trade for someone, right? Doesn't that need to be an elite player, just another good player, even a Jacoby Myers, someone like that, someone who's going to win. They're a wide receiver away from being the best team in the league. The defense is really good, and Josh Allen's the quarterback. That's why I have them 3rd.
And the Bucks, obviously, Mike Evans is huge loss for them. He might come back. It's unclear there. But this defense of Tampa has been such a pleasant surprise. They played really well they held the Lions in check for most of the game on Monday night, and they've been doing that all year. Really, they've been great situationally, the Bucks defense. And again, with Tampa, obviously a lot of those players are coming back, so they're a tough one. But Monday night was rough for them. about the Lions defense. That was really the story for me on Monday night. But yeah, how do you feel about the Bucks now? Obviously, they had a sort of pretty poor offensive performance on Monday, but they're missing so many guys.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield's just looked great. Like against Seattle, I was so impressed with the way he played. He's taken another big leap this year. I mean, Emeka Egbuka is just fantastic. He's outperformed. I watched a lot of Ohio State last year, and I did not see this coming. He's a good player, but he looks elite already. And that's so big when you've got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on the roster. We have to see if Mike Evans comes back. But like you said, the biggest surprise with Tampa is the defense, because I thought that would really hold them back, really devoid of any star players, really, without good pass rushers, reliant on Vita Vea on the defensive line. Linebackers are old and slow, but they're doing it. They're doing a great job. If they can stay at this level, then they can really be Super Bowl contenders. But I do think they need Mike Evans back to really contend, because you'll see teams starting to double cover Emeka Egbuka, and it's like, oh, now where do I go? Tez Johnson. I mean, want a speed guy, really. They're really starting to rely on lower depth chart players at this point, and I think that will hurt them moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with you, I think. And then Green Bay, they're the team that just missed out of the top 5. They're an odd one because they've not really been convincing at all, especially on defense. I think that's been the real disappointment. The Packers' defense, it's just not been what it was last year, and that's with Micah Parsons. They are 4 places higher than in preseason. This is before the Micah Parsons trade, so maybe they'd be about the same if they had Micah Parsons going into preseason or not. But yeah, it seems like you agree with me there, because you had the Packers the lowest of anyone at 9th.
Yeah, they've not been very good. They've not been good at all. Jordan Love's been fine, but they are without a star wide receiver. They've been reliant on Tucker Kraft, who's a good tight end. Offensive line has looked like a problem, which is didn't see that coming, because we have a good offensive line on paper. And the biggest issue for me is the interior defensive line, because it looks terrible. Like, Micah Parsons is game wrecking on his own, but he's getting no help from his guys in the middle. They absolutely need to trade for someone, or they're going to get run all over. And Micah Parsons will be made irrelevant, because they're going to keep running him out of the game. But I just don't think they've looked very good.
No,
but they can be good, right? They can be great.
Yeah. Well, that's been the story of Green Bay in the playoffs. They've been run over by San Francisco a couple of times. That's these recurring issues here with the Packers. So that's very interesting going into the end of the season. And that is 5 teams. 5 teams are left. Are you ready to see the number 1 team in the power ranking, Charlie? Ooh, all right, here we go. Boom.
Wow.
It's the Detroit Lions.
Look at number 2 as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. Right, first things first. As I said earlier, this was the closest power ranking that we've ever had done at the top. 4 different teams picked number 1, 11 different top 4 combinations as well, so that's crazy. The most common top 3 was the Lions, the Colts, and the Chiefs, which I saw 3 times. They're my top 3. Those are the 3 teams that are the top 3 in the power ranking. And then, obviously, the Rams in 4th and the Eagles in 5th. Nobody put it in the top 5 exactly, which only one person had the top 4 in the eventual order. Again, that was me. I'm not taking credit. That's just what I'm saying.
It's rigged. Rigged system.
Yeah. But what that does go to show, isn't it, is that we've got a really competitive league, right?
Yeah, and it goes to show that a lot of teams will win the Super Bowl, and that's how refreshing is that. For the last 5 years, we've been like, Eagles, Chiefs, Chiefs, Niners, but this year it really does feel like 9 teams can win the Super Bowl, 10 maybe. I don't know. I think that Seattle can win the Super Bowl. I think the 49ers can potentially. Green Bay can, and they're not even in the top 5. It's refreshing to see this top 5, because who would have predicted those 2 there at the top?
Yeah, it is crazy. We'll start with the bottom and then work our way up. We'll start with the Eagles in 5th. I do wonder if they would still be in the top 5 if it wasn't for them opening up the pass game last week. that is something I do wonder, because it was very close between the Eagles and the Rams and the Packers. Those were very, very close. For me, it feels like I'm watching the 2023 Eagles a little bit. Secondary, not very good. Yeah, which is a concern. They also don't look that great coached, which again is what they were in 2023 when they fell away down the stretch and lost to Tampa. And again, this is something we didn't see in 2023, but it's something that is starting to concern with the Eagles. The offensive line play as well, it's not been the same at all, and they're really struggling to open up, rushing lanes for Saquon Barkley as well. His yards per carry's gone right down from what it was last year. But again, this is a team full of superstars. They find ways to win. It'll be harder than last year, but they can absolutely win a Super Bowl, can't they? Because of the players they got on that team.
They really can, yeah, but the offensive line needs to improve. Jordan Mailata has not looked the same player at all. Jalen Hurts does not look the same passing the ball, but their ceiling is the highest in the league. They could be, if 5 games and they go on a winning streak, which can easily do, get momentum back. Yeah, they can blow teams out, but they just haven't played well at all. I think they are very flawed. I think they need a pass rusher really bad. We've seen them bring Brandon Graham back, but I don't think he's the guy. They need a legit pass rusher, a Trey Hendrickson, someone like even a Jalen Phillips trade or a Bradley Chubb trade.
Lucky there's so many pass rushers that are going to be moved in the next couple of weeks. So many.
Yeah.
You got the 3 if you include Matt Judon in Miami as well. You've got him as well. You've got Chop Robinson's probably not off the table. There's probably 4 pass rushers you've got there. Then you've got Kayvon Thibodeau. You got your Max Crosby's who's being talked about. You've got your Trey Hendricksons. You've got so many pass rushers that are talking about being moved. Like if you need a pass rusher, now's the time. So I think. It really is. The Rams don't need a pass rusher. They've got loads. I said it on the podcast last week. I think they can absolutely. They're one of my favourites to Super Bowl this year. Like I was saying with Seattle, like numerically, this team is dominant on both sides of the ball, which is why they're both the Rams and Seattle were in my top 5. And the Rams got 5 wins, and they always peak later in the season as well, which just make you wonder how many wins this Rams team are going to have. Matt Stafford, like legitimate MVP conversation. Like really, I think he is an absolute candidate for. And again, when Dak Prescott might not have as many wins, Sam Donald might not have as many wins. Matt Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, just looking good for those kind of guys. Really, but it is completely wide open here, as it was a couple of years ago when Lamar Jackson won it in the end. And then they have a couple All Pros on defense as well. The Rams, that defense is so good. Not necessarily the back end, but the Rams front 7 is playing really, really well. They're really good. The Chiefs, they're an interesting one. Quite a few people actually had the Chiefs as their number 1 team, but they fall into 3rd because there are also quite a few people who have them outside the top 3. Some of them have them as low as 5th, 6th, 7th. You're one of 5 people who had them number 1. So again, 5 people have known the Chiefs number 1, and then they're only 3rd in this power ranking, which is crazy. The offense has been so good in recent weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think we forget how good Patrick Mahomes is. Every end of a season where he's not played the best in the Super Bowl, it's always like, oh no, Patrick Mahomes is not one of the best quarterbacks. It's Lamar Jackson, it's Josh Allen, and it's Joe Burrow. No, Patrick Mahomes is definitely in that conversation, and he's probably number 1. Because I think fantasy football is a big reason of this, because he's not a rusher, right? He doesn't score a lot of rushing touchdowns. But if you just watch him as a quarterback, he's unbelievable. And he gets Rashee Rice back this week, who was a fantastic receiver, and Patrick Mahomes just instantly looks so much better again, because a good quarterback needs good wide receivers, right? He's not had very good wide receivers for 2 years now, and still went to a Super Bowl, by the way. And now they've got Rashee Rice back playing at this level. They look improved on defense. Now the defense is starting to look much better than at the start of the season. Yeah, I for my money, they're the best team. Even Travis Kelce looks good now. I did not see.
But again, part of that is because you've got so many options now that then he's getting less attention. And then, Hollywood Brown's playing well. You've got Xavier Worthy playing well. You've got Tyquan Thornton playing. You've got so many options there. this offense it's just been so good, and again, it is numerically one of the best in terms of EPA so far this season, and a lot of other things as well. Charlie, the Indianapolis Colts are number 2 in the power ranking.
How? At the start of the season, we were talking about like Anthony Richardson being the worst quarterback in the league, and then getting a number 1 overall pick and drafting Arch Manning. Like, how much has changed in 8 weeks?
Again, 26th in our preseason power rankings. They're now second, about 24 spots. Yeah, again, who would have thought that Daniel Jones would lead them on this fairy tale thing? But that's the thing. This is the story of the season by far. It was a fairy tale the first couple of weeks. This is a reality now. It really is, because this is a very good football team. Dominant a lot of scrimmage, especially on offense. And they lost so many starters on that offensive line as well, and it's still so good. Like it is crazy. They might have the best football player in Jonathan Taylor in the entire league as well. He's been so good. And then they're getting the pressure on defense. Latu is having a great season. In obviously his second year. They're talking about adding another pass rusher. They probably need an extra player in the secondary, but that run game is really hard to stop because of that offensive line and that player, isn't it? And that's the sort of bread and butter of this team.
Yeah, Daniel Jones gets a lot of the credit, and rightly so, because he's been really good. But it's the O-line, and it's Jonathan Taylor. The offensive line is almost as good as the Eagles' offensive line last year. They make it look very easy for Jonathan Taylor, and then after Jonathan Taylor hits that gap, then he makes it look easy by running over linebackers and safeties. Like, he is an unbelievable running back. He's up there with Saquon Barkley and Bijan Robinson as the best in the league. And like you say, Sam might be the best overall football player right now. He's been incredible. And defensively, Lou Anarumo has done a fantastic job. Like you say, the way they drop Latu in coverage sometimes. I think he's got 2 picks this season. Their misdirection on defense, their disguised coverages. Cameron Bynum has been a fantastic pickup. We spoke about Minnesota losing out on interceptions. I mean, that's why Cameron Bynum's now on the Colts doing it for them. He's been a really good signing, cheap as well, good contract. They've just got a lot of good, kind of like Seattle, no superstars, but really good everywhere and a great scheme. And that dominates now. If you have a good scheme, you know what you do, and you out-coach your team, it doesn't matter. You don't need superstars. You just need a good group of guys and no weaknesses. And Indianapolis has no weaknesses anywhere. And I don't think you can say that about any other team in the league, really, to the point with Indianapolis. Like, every single position, they are good. And like you said, this is not a fun story anymore. They are legit.
Yeah, it really is. And props to Daniel Jones. He's playing great as well. Saquon Barkley had quite a couple of years ago. If you give him an offensive line, he'll play to a higher level. He didn't really have the offensive line in that season that he led the Giants to the playoffs, and he still was decent then. Now he has the offensive line. He's having an excellent season. Sometimes players need extra. Obviously, not everyone can be Patrick Mahomes. Not everyone can be Lamar Jackson. Lamar's average time in the pocket is 1.8 seconds or something crazy like that. Not everyone's like that, but it is crazy how well Daniel Jones is playing right now. And yeah, I'm glad to see he's done that, because again, it does really matter as a quarterback where you land. It really does. And then the Lions, like you mentioned, they're not really bad anywhere. The Colts. Say the same thing for the Lions. You're really good. Yeah. They're well drilled. They're good on both lines. They can run the football really well still. They've got one of the best receivers in football, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jamison Williams is another great receiver. But what separates the Lions from the Colts is the fact they just have more talent. The Lions have no weaknesses and have the superstars, and that's why they are the number 1 team in the power ranking. So they're just polished everywhere. Shout out to Calvin Shepherd, by the way.
Yeah.
What this defense injury riddled as well. You look at the players that played in that secondary on Monday night. You're like, how the hell did they? How the hell did Baker Mayfield not complete a pass over 20 yards? When you look at the players in that secondary, and then Aiden Hutchinson again. favourite for defensive player of the year. Like he's got one of the players that are up there right now. He's been brilliant. Like the Lions are a deserved number one team, aren't they?
They really are, yeah. I mean, I think they're my number 2 behind the Chiefs. But, I mean, the way they've played, like I said, on defense, Kelvin Shepherd has done a fantastic job, especially with Teron Arnold starting at cornerback, because that guy looks terrible. But they still find a way to look really good. Linebackers are really good. Aiden Hutchinson's, like you say, been fantastic. The other defensive end, Lacey, I didn't even know who he was. Like, just playing really good football. The 2 guys inside are dominant run stoppers.
Yeah, they got Liam McNeil back, even you can tell, because they're
massive.
really good against the run. Yeah.
And DJ Reader as well is just a great run stuffer. They're just really solid everywhere. And last year, they were depressing to watch on defense, and they've made minimal changes. They've just got McNeil back, and obviously Hutchinson, but they look so much better to the point where, I think everyone coming into a season was like low on Detroit, and me too. They lost Ben Johnson, thinking, we just lost one of the best offensive minds in the league. But their offense as well hasn't missed a beat. They look fantastic, and Jared Goff deserves credit because he looks as good as he did last season, if not a little bit better.
Yeah, he really does. And I said in preseason, I thought their best chance to win the Super Bowl was last year.
Yeah,
maybe I was wrong. This team are really, really good. Touch wood, they're healthy as well, which obviously what derailed them last year. Yeah, and again, they were 6th preseason. They're first now, and they're deserved first as well. Next up is DFS Stars, which is our weekly daily fantasy segment brought to you by a partner of the podcast this season, Fantasy Gameday, the UK's dedicated daily fantasy app. Week 8 looks like a really, really fun slate, so I can't wait to give you my picks for this week's Sunday Stars competition, because it should be a good one. There's lots of really interesting high-scoring fantasy players available to be selected. Before I pick my picks for Week 8, my 5 DFS Stars for Week 8, let's see how my 5 stars from last week got on. And in short, last week was my best week of the season so far. I hope you took some of my advice on board, because if you did, I'm pretty confident you would have won money. It was a really, really high scoring week. A big reason for that is Jonathan Taylor. He was the highest scoring player available for double points. So he's the highest scoring player you could pick for captain. I identified him as my captain for the week, and he racked up a huge score of 34.2 points after another 3 touchdown days. I think he had 3 of those so far this season. So that translated to a whopping 68.4 points when he doubled it, obviously because he's captain. And 2 of the 3 Sunday Stars competitions, the winners of those competitions had Jonathan Taylor as their captain. Bryce Young was probably my worst pick of the week. He was my quarterback star. He was the 14th best QB on Sunday, so he wasn't terrible. And he was a cheap option as the 11th most expensive, so only a little bit underperformed his value. But the rest of the picks were so good that I think it was wise to go cheap at quarterback. That's because my running back pick was a huge success. I picked Quinton Judkins, and he ran all over the Dolphins' defense as expected. Judkins was the second highest scoring running back behind Jonathan Taylor, so he was pretty much. I had picked the 2 best running backs you could choose on Sunday, and he scored 26.4 points after a 3 touchdown day for him. So 6 touchdowns between the 2 running backs that I picked. I found some success in recent weeks picking a running back against the Dolphins. Spoiler alert, I'm doing that this week as well. I strongly recommend you doing that throughout the season, unless anything changes on the Miami defensive line. I also hit the jackpot of Chris Olave, who was a steal for his value of 4,800. He was one of the cheaper number 1 receivers in the league on Sunday, and that was crazy because he was the 4th best receiver on Sunday behind the 2 Eagles receivers and Keenan Allen. He scored 26.8 points. And then finally, Jake Ferguson was a winner too, really. He scored 21.9 points. He was the 3rd highest scoring tight end of the week after connecting with Dak Prescott in the end zone twice. And that was a really good week. Let's hope that fortune can continue. The good fortune can carry over to week 8. And if you are, because we're starting to get on a bit of a roll now with these picks, once we learn because we're starting to get on a little bit of a roll now with these picks, because we know what teams are now, it's a lot easier to try and win some money on Fantasy Game Day. And if you, listener, are sat there trying, And if you listener are sat there fancying getting involved with Fantasy Gameday this week, new users can actually get a free £7.50 game entry if you sign up to the app with the code FULL10. That's FULL10. New users can get that free game credit added to their account when they enter their first lineup on the app, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Okay, here are my 5 players that you need to have in your daily fantasy lineup on Fantasy Gameday this Sunday. As always, I'll start on my pick for a captain, which is a player in your lineup that gets double points. I kind of spoiled it earlier. The Miami Dolphins cannot deal with running backs, so my captain pick for the week is Bijan Robinson. Yes, he's expensive at 9,000. I get it, which is titled Christian McCaffrey as the second most expensive captain behind Jonathan Taylor. But these three have scored so many points, in fantasy this season compared to everybody else. I feel like you've got to have one in your lineup every week. I think Bijan has got the best lineup, sort of matchup of the three. And I do think they are all worth the price for your captain, as we saw with Jonathan Taylor last week. As I said, Miami cannot stop the run. They're allowing 159.3 yards on the ground a game, which is the worst in the NFL. And Robinson is good at making defenses who can't tackle running backs pay. He leads the league with the most missed tackles at 36. That's 8 more than Jonathan Taylor in second. And Bijan Robinson's played one less game than Jonathan Taylor as well. So he is another level of making defenders miss. He's also a two-way player. Obviously, he sees the ball in the pass game a lot. He's averaging 65 yards per game in the air, which is second just behind Christian McCaffrey among running backs. And he's done it with a much lower target share than McCaffrey as well. I really wasn't surprised to see Bijan find the end zone multiple times on Sunday, so he is my captain pick for Week 8. Okay, my QB pick for you guys is Joe Flacco, which might come as a surprise, but I really like his matchup this week against the Jets, especially as you can get Flacco for only 5,800. Again, I feel like running backs are really where you want to be spending your money at this moment in time in the league in this app, and I feel like, and again, with receivers with high target share, which is what we've done in this week, and that means that you have to go cheaper on quarterback. But Flacco's matchup is really good. He showed some chemistry last week and Thursday night with his two receivers who are brilliant. The Bengals are facing a Jets defense that's probably going to be without Sauce Gardner. He's in concussion protocol, and this is one of only 2 defenses to not intercept a quarterback so far this season as well. And obviously, if Flacco can prevent the turnover, he's probably going to have a pretty good game fantasy-wise because of those 2 receivers. So, if he carries on the play with those weapons, he could be a steal as the 14th most expensive quarterback this Sunday. Sticking within that same game, that Bengals-Jets game, I'm going for Breece Hall as my running back pick for Week 8. He is on pace for a career-high rushing yards total of 1,024. He's also made several explosive plays on the ground as well so far this season. He has the most designed runs over 15 yards in the NFL this season, Breece Hall. So he's running well. Going up against the Bengals this week, who've had the most fantasy points, 2 running backs. I really like Hall here, and I feel like as a 12th most expensive running back, that's a pretty good deal. You have to imagine that the Jets running back is in for a big day. I love his value at 5,600. At receiver, my recommendation for the week is Zay Flowers, who gets his quarterback Lamar Jackson back this week. He is practicing all week, which is brilliant. The Ravens are playing the Bears this week. Now, Flowers has secretly been a bit of a target machine this season. He has the 5th highest target share of all the receivers that are available to be picked on Sunday, so he's one of the best you can pick, but he's also very cheap. He's the 18th most expensive receiver. Despite the fact he's getting 29.1% of balls thrown his way. Now, he hasn't found the end zone, which is why he's lower scoring in fantasy than these other number 1 receivers like Flowers clearly is. But this should be a very high scoring game. Only the Lions and the Cowboys have allowed more touchdowns to receivers than the Bears as well. So I really like the value of Zay Flowers here, priced at a very low £5,000. And then finally, I'm going for Jake Ferguson at tight end again. As I said last week, yes, he's a little bit on the expensive side, but with the amount of targets that he receives, he is absolutely worth the money this Sunday, because Trey McBride, who I will consider normally picking here, is on a bye. So I feel like the high value targeted tight ends are really limited this week. And of Jake Ferguson and Tyler Warren, Ferguson gets way more of the ball. If we're just being honest, no tight end has scored more fantasy points this season than Jake Ferguson. He's leading all tight ends with the most receptions, the most touchdown catches as well. So I do think he is worth a gamble as a higher price tight end at 4,600, especially if you've got some extra budget left over after going cheap at quarterback with someone like Joe Flacco. So that wraps up my 5 picks for this week's Sunday Stars competition on Fantasy Gameday. My 5 DFS stars for the week are Bijan Robinson, Joe Flacco, Brees Hall, Zay Flowers, and Jake Ferguson. Best of luck if you're playing along, and don't forget, new users can still sign up with the code FULL10 and get that free £7.50 bet. Just remember to please gamble responsibly, only if you're over 18 and based in the UK or Northern Ireland. Right, let's move on and finish the podcast by predicting every game against the spread. Last week, I actually lost to a guest for the first time this season, which was a low point. Yeah, I went 7-7, and Ben Isaacs went 9-5. He had a very good week last week. So that brings the scores for the season closer. I am still in the lead at 52 and 54, but the lead over the guest has shortened to 6 games, with the guest team sitting at 46 and 60. Last time you came on in week 4, Charlie, you went 6 and 10. So there's a target to beat this week. Not too bad. It's not the best, not the worst.
Yep.
The first time Ben came on, I think it went 4 and 11. So, yeah. So yeah, we said there's some bad weeks, which I've been lucky of. But yeah, no. Let's get into the picks this week, and let's start with Thursday night football. The Vikings still no JJ McCarthy. It'll be Carson Wentz that starts tonight. The Chargers welcome those Vikings. The Chargers are 3.5 point favourites. They're injury riddled themselves too, though. This should be an interesting game. Which way are you going?
Every time I pick my Chargers, they let me down. But I'm going to pick the Chargers just because I can't pick Carson Wentz in prime time. It should be illegal, really, in 2025. Viking to chippy, even with Carson Wentz. But yeah, I'm going to go with Chargers here.
Yeah. Oh no.
It's close.
The Chargers defense. The Chargers defense disappointed me last week. Like that is a good defense. Like that front seven is a good front seven, and Jonathan Taylor killed them. And again, like Jordan Mason's not Jonathan Taylor. Let's be real, but he's a decent running back. I'm going to go Minnesota because I have no idea who wins the game. So again, as long as they would win 3, I'm good there. So yeah, I'd go Minnesota, but yeah, no clue really. Okay, this is the week in the NFL season where it kicks off an hour earlier than the rest of the season. So all the early games are at 5 p.m. Just a warning if you didn't know the clocks are going, we're changing this week. Yes, the first game in the 5 p.m. slate sees the Atlanta Falcons host the Miami Dolphins. Again, sort of borrowed time now, Mike McDaniel, see how many losses he can take before he's let go. The Falcons are 7.5 point favourites over the Dolphins. I'll go first here. Bijan Robinson is going to absolutely kill the Dolphins defense, so they can't stop the run. Give me Atlanta here. The worst run defense against probably one of the best running backs in football. Give me Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta. No notes. Move on to the next.
yeah, crazy. Right, the main game on Sky this week sees the Ravens host the Bears. Obviously, the Ravens got off their bye. Lamar Jackson should be back. He's practiced every day this week so far. So that's there. That's why the Ravens are 6.5 point favourites. A 1-5 team, 6.5 point favourites over a 4-2 Chicago Bears. Isn't that crazy?
That's got to be the first time that's ever happened, right? 1-5 team in a 6.5 point favourite. That's crazy. Having said that, I am going to go with Baltimore because Lamar Jackson is very, very good.
I agree with you. I'm going for Baltimore, especially off a bye as well. Like that,
Yeah.
That's part of the reason why they're favored by so many. So yeah, give me Baltimore there. Okay, we'll go over to Carolina now. The Panthers 4-3 on that win streak. They host the Buffalo Bills, who are coming off the bye themselves. The Bills obviously lost 2 games before going into their bye. They were undefeated before that. The Bills are 7.5 point favourites as Sean McDermott returns to Carolina. So huge away favourites. Which way are you going here?
That's a big line. Oh, I'm going to go Buffalo, but I feel terrible about it. I'm going Buffalo.
I'll join you again. Bills off a bye. You'd like to think they'll try and get it right. Pass rush refreshed and everything. Yeah, I'm going to go for Buffalo as well, but I'm not confident by that by any means. We'll go over to Cincinnati now. The Bengals 3-4. Obviously, they've had a mini bye after winning on Thursday Night Football against the Steelers last week. They host the 0-7 New York Jets. The Bengals are 6.5 point favourites. Joe Flacco versus Tyrod Taylor. Great game. This.
I think Tyrod Taylor's injured, is he not?
Is he? Who's starting
out
for the
with
Jets
a knee.
then? Oh,
I mean,
wow,
it could be Brady Cook. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
crazy there, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, yeah. Joe Flacco revenge game here. I think he played for the Jets maybe once, if I'm mind.
Briefly. I think
Yeah.
like 2022. Yeah, briefly.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Cincinnati because New York Jets are an absolute train wreck, and I have zero confidence they can move a ball.
Yeah, give me Cincinnati as well. I feel like, look, the Jets are the only defense. Oh, the Jets and the Niners are the only two defenses that haven't picked off a quarterback yet so far.
Hmm.
If Flacco can, not get that interception, I feel like because of those two receivers, I just feel like the Bengals probably going to run away with this game. The only way this could be interesting is the Bengals concept the run, so Brees Hall could have a big game and maybe change things. Because again, I don't know if you knew this, but Brees Hall the most design runs are 15 yards or more. Brees Hall so far this year.
All right, is that right?
Yeah, which is it's great. So yeah, that is an interesting one. Obviously, the Bengals terrible rushing defense. Still going to go with the Bengals, but that is my only caveat to watch Brees Hall in this game. Okay, the game on Sky Sports Plus in the early window sees the Texans host the Niners. This one should be fun. You've got two really good defenses. The Texans need a win after coming out the bye with that loss. Yeah, and then obviously the Niners. Don't know what's going on at quarterback again. We don't know who's going to play at receiver again. Is very up and down with the Niners there, and that's why the Texans are 1.5-point favorites in this game.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Houston here because I believe in their defense a lot against San Francisco's very struggling offensive line. I think this is the matchup nightmare for San Francisco, so I'm going to go Houston.
Yeah, I'm going to go Houston too. I feel like they need it. The Niners are 5-2. They can drop a game, and they won't be playing with the same urgency as the Texans. So I'm going to go for Houston. It's in Houston as So yeah, give me Houston here. Okay, we'll go over to New England now. The Patriots 5-2. It's crazy saying that with how bad they were the last couple of years, but Drake May, man. The Patriots are 7.5-point favorites over the Cleveland Browns. This is a tough one. Obviously, the Browns' defense is very good. A lot of Browns games are low scoring. And a lot of Patriots games are low scoring. So how do you feel about that spread?
Yeah, not good. That's a good line. Oh man, Yeah, I'm going to go New England just because I still don't believe in Dylan Gabriel, and I think the Browns are a few offensive performances away from the wheels coming off a little bit and potentially things unraveling, and I can see that happening. So I'm gonna go New England because of foresight. How about that?
I'm going to join you. New England are very good against the run, and if Quinton Judkins can't really get going, I worry about the Browns' offense quite a lot. Now they've had two decent games, recently because Judkins has played really well. I don't think it's going to be the same here. I think Gabriel might struggle, so I'm going for New England here to cover the 7.5-point spread. And then the game on Channel 5 this week, which is obviously free to air in the UK, sees the Philadelphia Eagles host the New York Giants. And obviously, this is a rematch of the Thursday night game a couple of weeks ago, which the Giants won. The Eagles, now in their own building, are 7.5-point favourites. This should be a fun game, shouldn't it?
Yeah, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo have made them a fun team, but they do. It does feel a bit like a sort of a run that will come to an end eventually, and we'll both fall back down to earth. But it's enjoyable at least, probably selling tickets in New York, I guess. Having said that, I am going to go for Philadelphia. I think this is a get-right game for the Eagles after being embarrassed on prime time the other week. Philadelphia looked a lot better last weekend, and I cannot see the Giants coming close to beating them and getting near that spread. I'm going Philadelphia.
Yeah, and obviously it's a really tough place to play, Philadelphia as well. So I'm going to go for the Eagles too. Right, the 8 p.m. slate. Remember, it's obviously an hour earlier. This is an interesting slate because you got three. You got 2, 1, and 6 teams playing. So I think the main attention is going to be on the Dallas-Denver game, which again does look really good. The other two, not so much. So we'll start with one of the bad games. We'll start with in the NFC South, and a NFC South game between the Bucks and the Saints. The Bucks go to New Orleans. 4.5-point favorites going to New Orleans. The Saints play really well in the Superdome. Most games in the Superdome this year have been really close. Tampa should win this. This is whether the injuries will will affect them, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, I'm still gonna go Tampa because I do worry about the. I think the wheels are falling off New Orleans a little bit. They're starting to show a little bit of cracks on both sides of the ball. I think Tampa still has a significantly better team, even without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I'll take the Buccaneers here.
I know the Bucks too. The Saints have started to get a few injuries on the interior offensive line. They've also lost Kendrick Miller as well, so this could be a Vita Vea game. So yeah, I'm gonna go for the Bucks to cover that 4.5 point spread. Right, the big game, the main game on Sky this week is also available to watch for free on 5 Action. So he's the 5-2 Denver Broncos host the 3-1-1 Dallas Cowboys. That's really hard to say. Bloody ties, man. Anyway, the Broncos are 3.5 point favourites. Again, I feel like both these offenses can compete in a shootout. It's just who really gets on the right end of that shootout, isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, Denver's defense is fantastic. They can really get a good offense, exciting offense.
Yeah.
It could really go either way. This will be it's a cliche, but whoever gets more interceptions and turnovers will win this game 100%. I'm going to go Dallas because Denver's offense really worries me, and I think Dallas can really put on points against Denver's defense even when they're playing well. So I'm going to go Dallas here because that's quite a big spread as well.
I'm going to go Denver.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say the Denver defense keeps them ahead for most of the game. Cowboys score in the fourth quarter, then Denver come back and win the game. That's what I'm going to say. Again, it will be close, but I think they'll score a touchdown and just win by about 4 or 5 points. So I think I'll be safe there. And then there's another division game. This one in the AFC South. The 6-1 Colts host the 1-6 Titans. This is by far the biggest spread of the week. It's not by far. There is another big spread, but this is the biggest one. The Colts favored by 14.5 points over the head coachless Tennessee Titans. It's in Indianapolis, if that helps with decision making. This game is also available to watch on Sky Sports Plus.
Yeah, it's really hard to pick the Titans at this point. They're depressing, unfortunately. Cam Ward's in a bad situation there, and he's not playing that well either, really. This is a good defense. They'll give him a lot of issues. I'm going Indianapolis here, even to cover that enormous spread.
Yeah, it's like you don't like to think that the Titans are actually quite good at stopping the run, so that's the thing. But I just feel like the Colts are the better team, and they're by far the best coach team. So that's why I'm going to go for Indy to win by 15 points, which that's crazy. Who would have thought that before the season, eh? Again, they're 6-1 though. Okay, Sunday Night Football. This is the Aaron Rodgers game against the Packers. Obviously been waiting a long time for this. The 4-1-1 Packers head to Pittsburgh. The Packers are favourites in this game by 3.5 points. Obviously, you said you've not really been impressed by the Packers. You are impressed by the Steelers. You didn't think there was too much between only 2 places on the power rankings. I'm assuming you're going Pittsburgh here because obviously Green Bay is away favourites.
I'm actually going to go Green Bay only because I just can't see Aaron Rodgers beating his former team. I just think Green Bay are going to go all out in this game. I think we've probably been on the calendar all season. I can see the defense giving the offensive line a lot of issues. I'm going to go Green Bay here, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to go Green Bay too because of that Steelers offensive line. I think this could be a Micah Parsons game. How many times will Micah Parsons get to how many times will Micah Parsons get to Aaron Rodgers? I think that will be the theme of the night on Sunday Night Football. So let's go Green Bay there. And then Monday Night Football sees the Chiefs host the Commanders. The Jaden Daniels-less Commanders. Marcus Mariota will get the start there. He's already been ruled out with that hamstring injury. But the good news is it's not long term for Jaden Daniels. But again, I think they probably want to be safe there. Because obviously he's just come back from injury and is already injured again. It's not the end of the world for Washington if they do lose a couple of games, but for the Chiefs, a good chance to get to 5-3. They're favored by 12.5 points. It's a big spread, but it is an arrowhead.
Yeah, and it's Marcus Mariota, who that pick last week was like, Marcus, you've been in the league far too long to throw picks like that. That was offensively bad.
Mariota won a playoff game in Arrowhead. If you don't know, remember that.
That is true.
Yes, so
that is true. That is true.
But,
and taking that into consideration, I'm still going to go with Kansas City because Washington. I think Washington are a little bit all over the place right now, and Kansas City have a lot of momentum in Arrowhead, primetime. Rashee Rice back, Xavier Worthy on the field. I really like Kansas City moving forward, and I'm actually quite excited to watch them because they've been a very boring team for a long time, but now they're starting to be a bit trendy now. So yeah, I'm going Kansas City, and I'm looking forward to watching the game.
Yeah, the downfield passing game is there. The Commanders' defense is terrible.
Yes.
Give me the Chiefs here. Someone to watch, obviously, Marshall Lattimore as well. He's not the great season. Obviously, they brought him in, trade deadline last year. Nice little addition for them then, but this year he's not been great. So that's something to watch there for Washington. And then there are 6 teams on a bye this week. This is the week with the most teams on a bye. The Jags, the Raiders, the Lions, the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Seahawks are on a bye this week as well. So that's it. Big thank you for coming on, Charlie. It's been great. It's been a load of fun revealing these rankings. Where can the listeners find your work?
Appreciate it, Sam. Anytime. Always a good time coming on. Full 10 yards. Charlie at Charlie Rich PLC, Daily Mirror and Daily Express, and the Irish Star as well. NFL coverage throughout the season.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, mate. I really appreciate it. I've been Sam. This has been the Full 10 Yards NFL podcast. I will see you next week. We'll be revealing our all-pro teams, mid-season all-pro teams for the season.